everyone, what's the story? It's everywhere. Okay, so this is the final story from... Okay, that was easy. My screen just flickered. My screen just glitched. Okay. Not scared one little bit. This story is called The Satellite Images. A friend of mine showed me how to use Google Maps. I'm sure you've all seen it. It lets you use satellite images to look at locations all over the world. A few years ago, I was in a car accident. Since then, I really don't leave the house that often. It's difficult, and the idea of seeing a car drive by makes me feel light-headed. I was fascinated by the fact that I could see all around the world, almost like being there. I could virtually walk down the streets, and it almost felt like I was really there. I became instantly hooked. It gave me a real high onto the world. I could go to almost any major city, and I did. I'd seen the streets of China, Japan, Germany, and England. So many places. I've even gone to tourist attractions like the Great Barrier Reef and Dracula's Castle. My favourite was to go to random places in major cities and see how many people and animals I could find. The faces of the people were always blurred to protect their privacy, but it was still enjoyable to see them out there, enjoying their life, walking like it was no big deal. She must have good taste, I laughed. I zoomed in closer and noticed the grey bag she carried on a grey and purple shoulder strap. She was walking in a relaxed manner, one hand trailing the wall beside her. I bet if I could see her face, I would see that she was smiling. I began to feel a little sad. I let my hands fall round my wheelchair, and I looked at her for a minute more. I wished that I could be there, walking so carefree with her. That wouldn't happen though, until I died. I was stuck in this chair. I sighed and zoomed out to Tokyo. Enough of this for tonight. I turned off the computer and went to bed. I got up early and decided to look around Paris. Paris was always fun. It looked like... I liked the look of the city, with all its old, beautiful buildings and so many people to watch. I randomly zoomed to an area and saw a street lined with old brick buildings, a few small shops, and an old town brick church. Ahead was an intersection and dozens of people walked by. A boarding businessman walked quickly past, looking back at a woman, her covered with a scarf, carrying a large purse. A curvy woman in black pants that were too tight stared up into the store window, and two women led a group of small children around the corner. I spun a few more times and then saw something peculiar. Sitting on the bench at the bus stop were two people. One of them was a young woman, with her feet stuck in front of her in a relaxed manner. She was wearing a pair of red sneakers, like my own. I was startled for a moment as I noticed her black pants, white t-shirt and black hooded jacket. Her dark brown hair was loosely tied behind her head. A grey bag sat on the bench beside her. Her shoulder strap upped over her shoulder. This is crazy, I thought. It can't possibly be the same woman. This is a different country, different continent, even. How could it be her? That was stupid. It wasn't as if these were live photographs. They were taken ahead of time and then stored. It's not like she was in two places at once. She could just be a traveller. Besides, Without seeing her face, it's impossible to tell. It was the same person. Brown hair was probably the most common hair colour in the world. Most red sneakers were something I purchased online. I'm sure a million other people did too. I shook my head and went to fix some lunch. When I came back online, I decided to look at Berlin. I picked a random street as usual. It looked pretty empty. There were brick buildings lining the streets, looking more like factories than anything else. There was also empty lots full of grass and piled gravel. There wasn't much to see at all, really. There was a line of motorbikes and a car, with 2 German flags sticking up from it. After more searching, I found one kid. He looked like he was dressed for school, a jacket thrown over his bag. He was intently looking at some kind of mobile device. I was disappointed. I started to leave, but then I caught something at the corner of my eye. I turned the view, and there they were, those red sneakers. She was standing on a street corner next to some kind of signpost. She had her hand on the post looking down the street, as if waiting to cross the street. I stared in shock. How could she be there too? Even if she was travelling, there's no way I could find her every time. Finding her in Paris would be one heck of a coincidence. But this was crazy. Was this some kind of joke? Had Google decided to play a prank on its users that use the product too much? It would have to be some kind of joke. I did a quick search looking for notes about a woman that shows up like Waldo. There was nothing. I looked through articles on strange things you can see on Google Maps, but none of them mentioned the woman that travels from the road with you. This was crazy. Had I self-imposed isolation driving me mad? Had I become so lonely that I created hallucinations for myself? Leaving the Berlin image on my screen, I sent a text message to my friend, asking him to look up locations. I asked him if he saw the same woman. I waited, and sweating, heart thumping in my chest. I jumped when my phone beeped with a return text 10 minutes later. The text read, I see the lady you're talking about in Berlin. I didn't see her in Paris or Tokyo. Is this some kind of game or what? Are you okay? I didn't respond. Instead, returned to the locations in Tokyo and Paris. There she was. But she was there. But it was different. She no longer sat on the bus stop bench in Paris. She was standing in front of it, looking for something in her bag. In Tokyo, she blocks away, squatting down to pet a cat. I shivered. Who was she? What was happening? I switched the map to Brussels. It was another city. It was lined with old-looking buildings with shops on the ground level, and I guessed was apartments above. I quickly scanned the streets. It was empty, other than a stocky woman in a bright blue sweater. I did a second sweep. She wasn't there. I sighed in relief. I couldn't believe I was getting so worked up about this. There was nothing but a current. I stopped, my eyes frozen on the screen. There was a building at the point of a fork in the road. Right to black ironwork framed balcony just from the second floor. I hadn't seen her, as I hadn't been looking at the sidewalks. There she stood, standing on the balcony, her head tilted in the direction of the camera. She was almost coyly looking at me, my breath caught in her throat. I switched to Sydney. She was leaning against the wall, against the doorway of a bright blue pharmacy building. London showed her getting ready to step on to a double-decker bus. Her head turned to look over her shoulder. She was everywhere I looked. She stood on the sidewalk on a bridge in Venice. She walked across a yellow-barred crosswalk in Zurich, and in Hong Kong. She stood between a Yin Young Bank and a McDonald's adjusting the strap on her bag. In each picture she came closer and closer to looking directly at me with her face blurred out. My heart felt like a terrified bird slamming against my chest. I couldn't catch my breath. I wasn't sure what to do. I couldn't call the police. Should I send screenshots to Google? I clenched my fist tightly and closed my eyes. Who was she? Was she following me? Was I following her? I wish I could see the expression on her face. Know what she looked like when she looked at me. I wanted to get out my chair and run. Why is it the only thing that made me feel free again was the thing that made me feel even more trapped? I had to know. I typed the name on my town and zoomed into a random street. It was a couple of miles from my house. The gates to the city park were shown in the clarity of the daylight, despite it being night here. There she was. There she was. It was only a few miles from my house, standing on the ironwork arch that stated the name of the park. She looked directly at the camera, directly at me. I felt like I might throw up. She was near me, and she was watching me. She was coming for me. What did she want? I typed in the name of the apartment complex where I live. I could see the outside of the building. The parking lot was full of cars. There was a few blurred out children on the playground. I searched everywhere for her. She wasn't in the parking lot, or on the sidewalk, not hiding between the buildings or standing on the playground. I even scanned each car, behind the bushes, and each of the blurred windows. She wasn't there. I curled tightly around myself and laid my head down on my desk. This place was safe. I didn't leave the apartment anyway. I would never use Google Maps again. I would never see her again. She could stay in the park for all I could. I smiled to myself, and I was surprised to find the tears slipping down my face. I'm safe, I said to myself in a whisper. It felt good to hear it out loud. I'm safe. As I said it, there was a knock on my door. A chill ran down my spine. I had a camera, looked up to my computer, that showed me it was at the front door, which made it easier for me in my mobility issues. I slowly reached for the control to show myself he was outside, but my hand trembled furiously. As I touched the control, I realised my mistake. The last of Google's images that I had seen had only shown the outside of the building, just the outside. I looked at the screen and saw a woman in a white t-shirt, black pants, black hooded jacket, and carrying a grey bag with purple and grey striped shoulder strap. Of course, those were the red sneakers. She looked directly at the camera, her face still a complete blur. As I tried to stifle a scream, she raised her hand and knocked loudly on my front door. That one is scary. I think that one is my favourite, and the one just before this, because they're kind of technological ghost stories as well. So like they're kind of like something new. But those two, the one before that one and one before this, was my favourite. That's so cool. And that's one from HuffPost. I'm gonna see if I can find any more. Yeah, if you know who wrote these or have any idea, then I can give credit. Please let me know, because I really want to give credit for them. But for now, I'm going to say love you lots and lots like jelly tots, and I'm keeping them in weird. Bye!